it.
And to celebrate it, they decided to have a, well, something special. And Gary was there. Gary?
Watching and certainly hearing part of the live entertainment going on at the First Avenue in downtown Minneapolis. I'm not sure you could hear me or not, but let me just tell you, the reason for all of the people and all of the noise, it's the 20th anniversary of the First Avenue. This place has been here 20 years and it's still going strong.
First Avenue and the 7th Street entry, made nationally famous by Prince in his movie Purple Rain. But for Twin Cityans who love the local music scene, First Avenue has been one of their favorite night spots for a long, long time, even before Purple Rain.
Now, you're 24. Do you realize when this place first opened, you were only 4 years old?
Yes.
And that year was 1970, April 3rd to be exact, as people lined up at what was once the Greyhound bus depot to see the nightclub's opening act, Joe Cocker. And the place was then called the Depot.
You know who Joe Cocker is?
Yeah, I've heard him. I know who he is. I don't have any of his tapes, but I know the name.
Yes, and that's the way it all began for First Avenue 20 years ago.
Yes, it's called First Avenue now, but it used to be known as Uncle Sam's or Sam's, a danceteria in downtown Minneapolis. No live music, a danceteria. Oh yeah, the place used to be a disco. I can't imagine disco at First Avenue.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. They used to have a lighted dance floor. In fact, I used to dance on the stage with Uncle Sam, and I used to get the crowd really crazy. It was a lot of fun here then. I miss it.
Yeah, there's a big lighted dance floor, all multiple colors, and the whole wall was lit up in about squares and all these funky disco colors.
But First Avenue is no longer Uncle Sam's, and it's certainly no longer disco. No, this is the kind of music you're more likely to hear at the 90s version of First Avenue. Now, this is a group called the Hypstrz, and its lead singer remembers those disco days. Oh, yes. He says his group played for about 10 minutes one night back in the 70s during a break between disco sessions.
There are like 750 people in the audience, and when we went on stage for 10 minutes, 250 of them left. The rest of them threw things at us. It was Saturday Night Fever all over, man. They didn't like us at all.
Yes, First Avenue prides itself on keeping up with the music scene. It's also a place where you can keep up with fashion. Today's look has leather, interesting hats, interesting hairstyles. It's like a living fashion show.
What would you call this? Sort of leaves us speechless, doesn't it?
Glam Renaissance.
Oh yes, the fashion and music of today are very much unlike the disco days. But one thing hasn't changed. First Avenue still has one of the largest dance floors around. And although they're dancing to pre-recorded music right here, First Avenue and the 7th Street entry are best known for their live band performances. Many bands that played here before anybody ever heard of them.
10,000 Maniacs. I saw 10,000 Maniacs in the 7th Street entry, and I bought their record for $5. They sold it out of the back of a van, and they became huge.
Now here are just some of the famous names that have appeared here. And the list goes on.
You remember seeing Tina Turner here?
Yes, in fact, I was in the entry one night spinning records on the sideline between breaks in the act. It was spinning records at that time.
What was it like to see Tina Turner in person in Minnesota?
The hardest working woman in town.
I saw you too. I was looking at some of the old posters up here. I saw you too, and weren't very many people here. I've been treated to about 5 free unannounced Prince concerts down here.
Now, some call First Avenue Prince's Club. He not only made it famous in the movie, but would often show up unannounced to play a spontaneous gig, especially back in the mid and late 1980s.
The fondest memory I have is seeing a band. There was a small pop band playing in the entry one night. There was like 50 of us down here. It was about 1984, maybe 83. And the band finished playing early, and Prince and Andre Simone and a few other people came in and asked the band if they could borrow their equipment. They got up on stage and they did a half an hour of straight blues. And one of the guys that worked here locked the door in between the 2 rooms. Like 50 of us got treated to this special private Prince concert. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, you know?
Now, having Prince show up unannounced is, well, unlikely these days. But other groups that started here and made it to the big time still do show up from time to time. On the night that we taped this, for instance, the Replacements showed up somewhat unannounced and ended up giving, well, quite a crowd-pleasing concert for those in attendance at this 20th anniversary party for First Avenue.
And so that's the story from First Avenue as the acts continue. In fact, right now on stage, it's the Gear Daddies from Austin, Minnesota, a group that has played here for a number of years, coming back for another performance here. Hard to imagine what's happened here in 20 years. It was actually a disco era here. It was actually a time, if you can believe this, when long-haired kids and tie-dyed shirts were here. Hey, obviously some things never change. Rock and roll, First Avenue, 20 years, and going strong. We'll see you next time.